Hello once again, YouTube. Major Tom 2417 here with episode 7 of EpicStravaganza. And if you can't tell, I've got a massive smile on my face as I'm recording this because this game right here is my personal favorite of this series. One Must Fall 2097. And I am not giving this game the short shrift. I'm going to cover as much as I possibly can about it. So without further ado, let's get started with this EpicStravaganza video. One Must Fall 2097 is a one-on-one fighting game released in 1994, developed by Diversions Entertainment, and of course published by Epic Mega Games. The entire purpose of One Must Fall 2097 is to show giant robots beating the scrap out of each other. See what I did there? And if you want a fighting game with story, this one has not one, but two of them! The one-player mode and the tournament mode. Well, tournament mode doesn't really have a story as per se, but we'll get to that soon enough. This game also has exquisite sound design, with every clang being heard in glorious stereo, and an excellent soundtrack by Kenny Chou, including the nearly mimetic power plant theme, which more people have heard from Freeman's Mind than from the game it came from. The controls are as simple as it gets. You have two buttons, one for punch and one for kick. But with those two buttons, you can perform an amazing array of moves, punches, kicks, throws, projectiles, not to mention the end-of-match scrap and destruction moves to completely destroy your opponent's arm or human-assisted robot. Seriously, with just two buttons, or two keys if you prefer, you could play this game with an NES controller or a Gravis gamepad if you so desire. Seriously, I cannot stress how incredible the control scheme of this game is. Yes, there have been fighting games that have had 6 buttons in the past, or 4 buttons, or however many, but with just 2 buttons, there's an entire strategy guide's worth of moves to perform with every single hard. And that's all before you get into the hyper mode and the re-hit mode, both of which can be accessed from a hidden menu. Because, oh yes, this game has secrets. Lots and lots of secrets. The stars of the show are the HARs, the aforementioned human-assisted robots. Initially created for such purposes as bodyguard work, construction, zero-G space station building, spaceship rescue, and reconnaissance, these giant robots just so happen to be great for fighting, too. All of them can be linked up to by way of specialized equipment that creates a temporary mental connection to the robot itself, allowing their pilots to control them with the power of thought alone. And speaking of those pilots, there are 10 of them in the one-player mode, all of whom are vying for a top-level administrative position at WAR, or World Aeronautics and Robotics, on the newly created colony up on Ganymede, one of the moons of Jupiter. Whereas most corporations would have simply held job interviews or something mundane, WAR decided to hold a giant fighting robot tournament. And the applicants range from twin siblings looking to unravel the mystery of their parents' deaths, to a mysterious competitor who, spoiler, is actually a humanoid inhabitant of Ganymede looking to keep the human race off the moon entirely. And then there's the bodyguard of WAR's president, Major Hans Kreisig, and said bodyguard is looking to off the Major and take over WAR himself. And there's the HAR designer who participated in, and was unfortunately crippled during, a predecessor to the Ganymede tournament in which pilots were strapped into giant robot frames. There's also the son of one of the co-founders of WAR who wants to return the company to his father's vision, and the hotshot upstart who thinks he's the center of the universe and sees winning control of WAR as the next big step to proving it. All of them have their reasons for wanting to win, except it turns out that Major Kreisig has plans of his own. See, there's this new HAR, the Nova, and old Kreisig didn't just link up to it in the usual way. He had his scientists put his brain into it, which you only find out after you've trashed the Nova. And all of this is just for the one-player mode! Amazing, isn't it? As for the arenas these massive machines battle in, they range from the shareware version's power plant with its electrified walls and utterly epic soundtrack to the fire pit, where holographic globes float around and can be hit to send fireballs up from below. There's also the desert, in which fighter jets take strafing runs at the Hars from time to time, and the spike pit, where massive concrete spikes slowly emerge from the background at random intervals. Lastly, there's the stadium, the only arena in the entire game with no hazards, just the bright lights and the enthralled audience. And each of these arenas only takes up a single screen. No multi-screen scrolling backgrounds like in Street Fighter 2 or Mortal Kombat here. All the action takes place on one screen, with no leaping into or out of the background, or flying up into the sky above the arena. Just one screen, you and your opponent, and whatever hazards are in the arena. You can spice things up a bit by holding down R, E, I, and N to make scrap metal rain from the sky. They misspelled rain for the cheat, what the crap. Or hold down B, I, G, and a number to increase the level of debris flying off of the opponent's Har with every hit. Also, depending on how many rounds you chose in the best of option in the gameplay settings on the main menu, fights in one-player mode can go up to 9 rounds, and they can, in fact, end in a draw. And for an extra challenge, press and hold right for a few seconds when selecting your difficulty to get Deadly Difficulty, then hold down O, M, and F after that for Ultimate Difficulty. Tournament mode has its own story, which takes place 3 years after the tournament in one-player mode. All full-contact sports have been banned, due to the publication in 2059 of Jeffrey Moore's book, The Psychokinetic Exercise Program. According to the manual that shipped with the game if you bought it back in the day directly from Epic, the Psychokinetic Exercise Program outlined various techniques to allow a human to precisely control the output of adrenaline and the efficiency of muscle groups, and was touted as a completely legal way to improve the body. Unfortunately, the following year, a boxer named Marsalis Harris killed 4 opponents in one season after having trained using the techniques of the Psychokinetic Exercise Program. The very next year, over 24 professional football players died due to various injuries inflicted by players who had practiced the Psychokinetic Exercise Program themselves. Predictably, this resulted in the book and the techniques prescribed therein being completely banned, with the aforementioned ban on full-contact sports following not long after. Said full-contact sports are eventually replaced with the Warbot Circuit, where Hars pound each other to scrap metal to the delight of cheering crowds around the world and the solar system. Where do you fit into all of this? Well, once you start playing tournament mode, you can pick from one of 4 neophyte pilots who start out with a Jaguar and $2,000, which you can use to equip your newly acquired Har, train yourself, or buy another Har. There are, of course, 4 tournaments to choose from in the game itself, starting with the North American Open, the final opponent of which is Raven, the 2-time former world champion. The other 3 tournaments are the Katushai or Katushai Challenge, held by a militant country that has established a respected tournament, the War Invitational, which attracts the finest fighters from around the world, and in terms of prestige is second only to the World Championship, which attracts the finest fighters from throughout the solar system and is for those who think they are truly ready to take on the world. The World Championship has the highest spectator turnout of all the tournaments, and thus the pay for those who win is excellent. You can also have up to 10 custom tournaments in the game directory should you choose to play through those instead. When you're not competing in matches, you can buy upgrades for arm power, arm speed, leg speed, or armor. You can buy a completely different Har, or you can change the paint job on your existing Har, which is completely free. And as for pilot training, you can train up power, agility, and endurance. All of this assumes you have been winning and thus have the necessary cash. If not, your mechanic will have to sell parts off of your Har, and eventually you'll have to go into debt. A grand total of 2 failures to pay up means you get relegated to being a mechanic and are thus kicked out of the tournament. By contrast, winning means you get more cash and go up in rank until you fight the number 1 ranked competitor for that tournament. There are also unranked challengers that can be found and fought by meeting certain conditions. conditions. For example, in the North American Open, if you fight Crystal and use a destruction move on her Har after winning the match, her brother Christian will be incensed at your casual cruelty towards her and demand that you fight him. Some of these unranked challengers also have the added benefit of dropping enhancement upgrades for your Har, depending on which Har you fight them with. There's also the added benefit that losing to them doesn't affect your standings in the tournament ranking, because they are, after all, unranked challengers. And you're also not penalized if you turn down their invitation to fight, though you might be missing out on extra cash and/or an upgrade to your Har if you refuse. Custom-made tournaments tend to have a lot of unranked challengers, and they also tend to be harder and/or goofier than the ones already in the game. I had actually made a custom tournament back in the day, but it was on my old computer and as such is now lost, because I hadn't uploaded it anywhere. I mentioned at the start of this video that this game has plenty of secrets, one of those being the Advanced Options menu, which you can access by holding down 2, 0, 9, and 7 while on the main menu, then selecting Gameplay from the main menu, and you'll see Advanced Options now available to select right below Best 2 out of 3. The advanced options allow you to adjust things like re-hit mode, which among other things allows for airborne juggling, defensive throws, which lets you throw an opponent if they're crowding you, throw range, self-explanatory, jump height, also self-explanatory, hit pause, which adjusts how long the game pauses after a hit or a block, vitality, which increases or decreases how much damage each Har can take before they drop, though it doesn't work in tournament mode. Knockdown, which adjusts whether or not jumping, punches, kicks, both or neither will knock an opponent to the ground, and block damage, which is self-explanatory. There's also a hidden sound test, accessible from the title screen by holding down Alt, S, and F. So yeah, that's a whole lot of secrets. And I haven't even gone into detail about Fire and Ice, the hidden opponents in one-player mode. As for personal experience with this game, the first time I saw the shareware version was on the day the Doctor Who TV movie premiered, though I was far more interested in the shareware of One Must Fall 2097 at the time. My uncle later purchased the full version with the manual and the strategy guide and the poster not long before the game became freeware. So if he'd waited a little bit longer, he could have gotten the game for free, but then I wouldn't have the manual, the strategy guide, or the poster, all of which he later gave to me. I downloaded and played custom tournaments, and as previously mentioned, I made my own custom tournament, which is now sadly lost. I had a great time playing One Must Fall 2097 back in the day. And yes, Kris Asick, also known as Gemini, has covered this game in an Ancient DOS Games video on his Pixel Amusement channel. And I think he actually made an ADG Pro video talking about One Must Fall 2097 as well. So yeah! I don't think there's anything else left for me to say about this game other than that I love it. I had a wonderful time getting footage of it for this video, and yeah, that's pretty much all that needs to be said. With that out of the way, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you all so very much for liking, watching, commenting, and subscribing. I hope you've been enjoying everything that I've been doing for EpicStravaganza thus far, with the 7 episodes I've already uploaded, counting this one, as well as everything else that I've uploaded to this channel, and I hope you continue to enjoy the remaining episodes of EpicStravaganza yet to be uploaded, as well as everything else I upload to this channel in the days, weeks, months, and years to come. This is Major Tom 2417, signing out. Let's be reasonable. There was no way I was going to leave this video without showing this demo version of the game. No, I don't know how to get the sound working, so not much else to say here. Just watch Player 1 pummel Player 2 for a while. That's pretty much it.